was hoping we might try and solve the mystery of poor Clive Rossfield, a bearer of the Sambrequois Imperial Army sent behind enemy lines, with orders to wait until it turned into a brawl, then slit the dominant's throat in the chaos.
I didn't know it was her. How could it be?
And so, to save her neck, you slit your sergeants, then set your sights on the hills, conveniently forgetting how the Empire deals with deserters. Because with that on your chop, my friend, we both know you won't be getting far.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 55 of the video game podcast, PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Clive to my Sidolphus, John. Now, John, I usually bring the interesting topics in our header here, but I'm going to leave it to you. I'm gonna pass the ball. What do you got for me?
Oh my God.
What are we going to start with?
You cannot do that to me. I am not an on-the-fly kind of guy. You're going to get me to go on spirals and tangents and start talking about sports or something. Let's see.
Speaking of sports, did you see that arcade football game? Does that look at any interest in you?
I mean, I loved Blitz. Blitz was, definitely part of my childhood through and through, but it does not. No, I think part of what makes a game like that special is the simplicity and how simple Blitz was. And I can't remember what this one was called, but
yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
I know there's some
wild card football.
Yep, wild card football. And I know one of the little bullet points for it was use any of your wild cards of one of 15 wild cards to modify the game and change it up. And it's as soon as you start doing that kind of shit, I'm out, because Blitz and that kind of stuff, it's let me pick my pass. I'm gonna people's elbow you on the sidelines, and the score is gonna be 56-49, and that's fine. But as soon as you start throwing all these things, I don't know, I feel like it will not ever stick in a way that gets that simplicity, where you just want to keep kind of doing it over and over and over and over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Think of NBA Jam too, right? It's simple. You're just two guys going up and down the court. You can get on fire. That's maybe the extent of it. Same with Blitz. You might have boost. That's it.
Right.
But other than that, it's just it's a perfect kind of couch co-op game. And if this starts to try and be an esports level thing, I don't know if it is. Nah. That's not what it should be.
See there, I helped you out, John.
Yeah.
We got it.
I'm gonna get you back for that.
Oh boy. All right, well, a big video game came out, so we got to get to talking about that. So let's talk about how the show works. John and I both bring 3 things to talk about for a total of 6 things. It can be a news item, it can be a video game we're playing, it can be an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod, and a YouTube comment on our YouTube page at PlayStation Pals. Any of those things, we bring it and we talk about it. And of course, we're going to talk about the big game, the big Sony console release, console exclusive
Synapse.
release, storied franchise.
Synapse. Crash Team Rumble.
But Final Fantasy, a new Final Fantasy game came out. We briefly talked about the demo 2 episodes ago, but it is out in the wild officially. It is sitting up at an 89 on OpenCritic, as we talked about last week. It's doing very well. It's the fastest PlayStation 5 video game, selling just over 3 million copies already. And John and I have played it. I'm about 10 hours in. John, how far are you?
I'm about probably 7, I would say. Now, I play slowly because I usually leave my game on, go upstairs, make some pizza. But, it's probably in Nick time, probably 5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right from where I remember you saying you were. But If you're not familiar with the franchise, every one of these games is different, and there's obviously been 16 of them. We don't include 11 and 14 because those were massive online RPGs, so they're kind of different. But every Final Fantasy game is like a different setting, new cast of characters, and that is what this is too. So this game takes place in the fictional world of Valistia?
Yeah, I hate the S into TH sound. Valistia, I think, is how I would say it. It's just a dumb name. But continue.
Yep, and it's kind of takes up 2 continents, Ash and Storm, and on these continents are what are called mother crystals, and they kind of provide the magic in the game. So they're big cities, and entire nations are built around these mother crystals. They mine the crystals so they can use them in everyday life, so on and so forth. And then on top of that, there are dominants in the world, and these are very select individuals who embody the summons of Final Fantasy past, but they're called Eikons in this. So Phoenix, Ifrit, Ramu, Shiva. What's the big guy's name? I think it's just Titan. Yeah.
He's Titan. It's so hot right now.
Yeah. So people are born with these abilities, and they get their traits. Like if you're Shiva's dominant, you can use ice magic, and then you also have the ability to turn into Shiva herself and be all huge and giant and get in big giant battles, which is, as we talked about, how this game opens in a big Shiva versus Titan battle. Yeah, John, let's hear your overall impressions, because this is a long game and we're just both getting kind of started here, of how the game you've played so far.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of varied thoughts on it. First and foremost, I think it's fantastic. I think it's definitely a high point of the series. Just to give the listeners kind of a background of my Final Fantasy experience, I think everybody knows about 10. That's one of my favorite games of all time. But I've beaten 12. I've played the Midgar section of Final Fantasy VII, the original one, and I've beaten 7 Remake. But other than that, I haven't really touched a lot. So, but this one, it definitely feels like the grown-up Final Fantasy that, fans of the franchise who have kind of grown with it would kind of want at this point in their lives. It's very dark, very gritty. The comparison of Game of Thrones is very apt to a lot in a lot of different ways, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But I think there's an incredible, they did an incredible job in a couple key areas. I think so far the spectacle, the cinematic nature of the game is incredible. There's some cutscenes in this game that I just had my jaw on the floor watching for 20 minutes straight of these, as you mentioned, Eikons kind of duking it out on these big battlefields. And I'm only 5 hours into it, and I've already kind of had a bunch of those moments, and people that I know who are further than me have just said, like, dude, you haven't seen shit yet. So on that front, incredible. I think the combat is very fluid. It's simplistic at first, but I can definitely see where where it's going to go, and the fluidity of it all is very nice. Famously done by Ryota Sasuke, who is the combat designer for Devil May Cry. You can really feel those bones there, but it's very fast, very fun to kind of mix in ranged with up close stuff. You're constantly recycling your special abilities, which I thought was kind of those were going to be more additive to the combat experience, but it almost seems like once you unlock a second icon and you can switch back and forth between them, it's like you're just kind of bouncing between those all the time and using regular slashes and things in between. So really lets you kind of play around with that. So really dig the combat. And third, I think the voice acting and music, I'll just combine those two because it's kind of just from the auditory side of it, are both fantastic. The Clive specifically, I think his voice actor is doing an incredible job. You can really feel some of the pain in his voice at specific moments in the story. He's got that typical Final Fantasy broody kind of thing that Cloud does, and a lot of other protagonists have. But it's kind of part of the experience. And in a similar way of a movie that's campy, it's kind of the Final Fantasy camp. So I came to expect that, but I think the voice actor is doing great. Sidolphus, or Sid, as from Final Fantasy's fame, there's a Sid in every single one of these games. But that's
Yeah, I was going to ask you, just a quick aside, who is Sid in 10?
It's Riku's dad. He's kind of like the Al-Bhed are a group of people that are kind of like the Brandon in this one, and people don't like him. They're kind of hated upon, but he's Riku's dad, who's kind of like the head of the Al-Bhed, and he's on the space or the airship. Yep.
Gotcha.
So his voice actor in 16 is Ralph Ineson is his name. You've probably heard his voice, seen him in a ton of different things. He's very famous. So they got the talent for this game. So that's all great as well.
And a quick aside about him is he's having quite a month because he's also in Diablo 4. So people are loving this actor right now.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him where he was kind of saying like, yeah, I signed up for these projects like a while ago. I had no idea that they were going to be coming out so close together. So he's kind of living in the video game realm right now. But it's pretty cool to see those guys kind of infiltrate this space. But
and Sidolphus is the best character by far so far. Like that character is incredible. Yeah. Like just everything. The voice acting is great. His demeanor and his little playfulness with Clive, who's ultra serious all the time, is just great.
You always need
he's a standout.
You always need levity, in any scenario, and usually the levity character becomes a fan favorite, and he is very, very good.
And go ahead, finish your thought, and then we'll kind of divide up.
Nope, I was about to switch. So go for it.
Okay. So let's just start with the story very first off, because we got talking about Sid. I will say, you haven't met Jill yet, have you?
I mean,
like in current time.
Yeah, I mean, I did. Well, got to keep this spoiler free. Yeah, I did come across her again.
It's the first few hours. Are you talking about the demo stuff where you rescue her?
Well, no, I mean, I met her in the future, but I don't think she's waking up again.
Right,
yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so that character is very boring.
Yeah, maiden in distress, kind of.
Yeah. So on that side, but yeah, another detail about this world is two things: that Clive can absorb other icon abilities. That's kind of how you expand your moveset. So he'll get who's the wind one?
Garuda.
Garuda. That's the second ability you absorb, so then you can start using wind attacks, and then I just got Ramu, so now I got lightning attacks, and so on and so forth. And the expectation is you're gonna have all of them, right? You're gonna have Shiva's abilities and all that, but also that magic users in this are branded, and they're kind of the plight in this in the story is that Sid wants to create a better world for branded and who are treated as second-class citizens, which is really bizarre in this world that people who use magic are second-class citizens.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be stomping all over everybody.
And your main character, Clive, is also branded. He is in the same position. He's kind of used as a soldier, his magic abilities. So, and I know, John, you're just getting started, but I'm sure you can already realize, like, they really lay it hard about how hard the branded have it. Like, it's almost obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like, similarly to the Al-Bhed, there is always this group in Final Fantasy that is the minority that constantly gets put down. And yeah, this is no exception. So far, yeah, it's a little heavy-handed. We get it, that's all that Sid really cares about, and that's really the only character I've come across yet. So that's been a lot of the main focus. But yeah, it's definitely a Final Fantasy ass fucking minority group that they just have to constantly remind you about.
Yeah, and again, we're in the early moments. Like it's most Final Fantasy games start out about resistances, right, to a higher power. Cloud and Barrett and Tifa were going up against Shinra, and same here. It's like Sidolphus and Clive are going up against the Holy Empire.
Yep.
So it's it's a common theme, but again, I think it's just a little. So because this is more like Game of Thrones, I feel it's a lot heavier, and it sticks with you more,
yeah.
And it's just over and over. And I really want the plot to move on from this point, but so far it keeps coming up to where I'm shocked of Clive's reaction every time. It's like, Clive, this is how it is.
They're doing what?
They keep treating him like this. Yeah, It's like, how much more angry can you get? We're killing them every time we find these people, but I don't know. So, but yeah, so we're very early on. I don't really want to go beyond that as far as the story, because even you don't know what the overall picture is yet.
No.
And I don't even think I do. So
No. I mean, I think we'll definitely going to want to do a spoiler cast for this one when it's all said and done. So, we can, just kind of go over probably a lot of the narrative and stuff then, I would think. Yeah,
of course. But let's move on to the combat, which is definitely, as you mentioned, a highlight of the game. It's the biggest departure from normal Final Fantasies. Gone are managing mana and other resources. I mean, you still use potions to heal yourself, but for the most part, you're waiting on cooldowns, and that's probably not shocking, given that the director of this did Final Fantasy XIV, MMORPG before this. So you have a great arsenal. You're able to, again, I have 3 Eikons I can switch to during combat, and then each Eikon has a different ability assigned to O. So with the Phoenix, it's the Phoenix Dash. With Garuda, it's kind of like this grab attack. You can pull enemies towards you or pull yourself to them. And then you can pick 2 abilities on top of that for each one, and then you switch between each one with L2, and then you have your sword strikes and your range magic. It gets it gets to be a lot pretty fast.
And then you have standard abilities that you can unlock and upgrade as well, like a double jump where you can jump off of an enemy and unlock like a ground pound type attack, and then hit X and square at the same time to do a dash and close some gaps. So it's very fast, very fast.
Yeah, hold square to let your sword on fire, which is great.
Yep. I charged that one up real quick so that the charge, or I mastered it, I guess is what they call it in the game, just to lower that amount of time it takes. And yeah, that's all I use that all the time.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you also have Torgal, your pet dog, who is also a combat item where you can give him commands to heal, precision strikes, or just a normal strike, all kinds of things. So again, this is. I mean, I'm kind of avoiding the game on the internet, but I'm sure there's some pretty flashy things out there. The only one I really saw was this ability called Ignition, where you kind of charge and skateboard around the map, and you can collect all the enemies and then explode on them. And it's great. I finally unlocked it.
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it, and it's awesome. It's just a great ability, because not only is it mobile, but it also collects all the enemies together. Right. So they're more manageable, right? They're not all spread apart and hitting you from all angle.
Crowd control is huge.
But this is a big departure from normal Final Fantasy games. There's no pausing here. There's no taking a break. There's they've been moving to active combat for a while now, 15 and 7 remake, but this is different, and I wonder. I'm assuming most people are enjoying it. I think most Final Fantasy fans are not complaining about this part of the game. The combat
I
itself.
think most people are enjoying it. I will say, when I picked up my copy at GameStop, the attendant goes, "Oh man, so many people are mad about this." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I thought it was pretty positive. He's like,
"Oh really? I love GameStop stories."
Yeah. Well, and my guess is he's like a certain coworker of ours who just kind of takes things to the nth degree. But yeah, he's just it's just people are a little upset with the combat. It's just not what they come to expect with Final Fantasy. So my guess is he is in very. This is an older gentleman, probably in his mid-40s, so my guess is he's partaking to some specific older video game circles on the internet, and
sure.
But no, I think for the most part, if you're a modern video game person, it's just done so well that how could you be mad at it?
Right, and I can understand if you're playing the opening hours, because it is kind of limited. You're kind of only given a simple skill set, and you're only unlocking a few things at once. But I think once they start introducing the other icon abilities, that you can kind of see where you can the RPG element is there to where you can create your Clive to be how you want to play. You want it, because Ramuh is very ranged attack. So it's if you don't want to get up close and you just want to do a bunch of far lightning attacks, that option is there. You just have to get there.
When I got Garuda, that first combat encounter, I had a big grin on my face. I was like, oh. Okay, this is where it becomes tricksy and cool and fun, Because every once in a while in these
yeah.
games, it's like you'll go through a fight and you'll be like, nah, I did okay. But every once in a while, you'll go through and you do it flawlessly, and it feels real good. Real good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is very fun.
For example, one of the things I love to do is with that flaming charge attack, it usually pops small enemies into the air. So then I'll use my Phoenix Dash, which is like, you kind of all of a sudden pop up right in front of them, hit them a couple times, ground pound them down, and once you do that and you get through an encounter where they don't touch you, good stuff.
Yeah, and definitely later encounters when they introduce like the bounty board and you're actually fighting enemies that require more skill too. You'll find that you're using your arsenal a lot better, having to adjust and make some changes to how you play the game, because for the most part you are just fighting run-of-the-mill enemies. You're just getting acclimated. Nothing. A few fights are dragged out, but nothing's like I'm worried about my health.
Yep. That's what they call good combat design.
But the one RPG element that I think that is justified is how RPG light this is. In typical Final Fantasy games, you are equipping gear for you and your party. You're only equipping gear for yourself, and that is your sword, your belt, and your gauntlets, and 3 accessories. So 3 things that either increase cooldowns or increase your attack, or we can get into a little bit the automated ones that kind of make the game easier. If you want to make it easier, there's like an auto dodge one, and one that automatically commands Torgal, which I've been using. But these elements are very, very simple. And in fact, this far in the story, the best ones of those have still been given to me through the story. I have not come across anything better than my current gear that the story has been giving me, despite there being a blacksmith in the game. But he doesn't update. He can't refine your basic gear. He can only refine your basic gear. This unique gear that you're getting through the story, he can't do anything with. So I can see fans not liking that, but for me, I'm not a big micromanager. Like, I don't care that I can't equip gear to Torgal or Sidolphus. Sure. Because I don't know. It's just not something I find fun, is inventory management and gear management, especially when it doesn't really change like physical appearance.
Well, good for you, Nick.
It's just
increasing
the numbers. Who wants that? Who wants bigger numbers in an RPG?
Well, I do, Nick. I do, because that...
Well, there's Diablo 4 for you.
No, well, yeah, I mean, that is one of my gripes with the game. And kind of... It's weirdly lacking in certain aspects, like you said, just with how good a lot of the other parts of the game is. I am kind of a little weirded out by this part of it, and especially coming from Elden Ring, I think that's playing an extra part of it, where it is super heavy in the weapons department, the armor department, and I do like that part. I like being able to, change kind of how my attacks and things will, change up my combat style, but... it makes sense in this game from a combat standpoint, because they're really not trying to add the variety from the weapon standpoint. They're trying to add the variety from the icon ability standpoint. So I do understand that, but it does come across a little flat in that way for me. But, can't have it all, I suppose.
Well, I wonder if they did it and removed it, or I wonder what their reasoning behind that is. Or they just were looking to make a more streamlined game in the style of... other games we see. But it's funny that, there's a big article on IGN that God of War Ragnarok is more RPG than Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I mean...
And yeah, it kind of
My guess is that this is kind of the, how do you phrase it? The trade-off for hiring a guy like Ryota Suzuki. When you think of a game like Devil May Cry, the previous games that he worked on, there is none of that. And so if you want his combat style, and if you got to implement that into an RPG type game, you probably need to sacrifice some things. And I would imagine that's part of it, because if you start adding all these different numbers and tweaks and things, it probably throws off the balancing of the combat. And they just decided that that's a more important element to this game, would be my guess.
Sure.
But,
and again, this is our early impressions. Like, we'll see how things go when we're further into the game, but early on, it's like there's not really a reason to explore the world, because nothing is new there, and the game's been very linear. I know, especially for where you're at, John, but even where I'm at, they kind of let the leash off a little bit. They give you a few bounties, but there's not a lot there. It's like, oh, I guess I'm already going back to the main story.
Yeah.
So.
Very few reasons to not just go from point A to point B. And that is probably maybe my biggest gripe with it so far, that I don't quite understand. And again, coming from games like Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom, that, you know, that's what these, you know, they do it in spades, might amplify that feeling a little bit. But I even think back to Final Fantasy X, which was honestly set up in a lot of similar ways, you know, but this is just more graphically beautiful, where there's foliage and leaves and things. But effectively, you're just kind of going down a long corridor with maybe some branches that go off here and there. But what Final Fantasy X had was, it had like a nice little mini map in the bottom right corner. It didn't take up a lot of real estate, but it basically showed you if, like, hey, there might be a chest down this little jut out that, you know, you might have gone past if you didn't see it. And usually at the end of that was a treasure chest, which would have a different, you know, it wouldn't just be 2 gil, which, man, does that make me mad when I go to a little blue, hey, you know, this is an item, and it's 2 fucking gil, which is ridiculous.
Right.
You know, but in Final Fantasy, you get a piece of armor, you get a piece of equipment, but, you know, again, so maybe the combat is impacting that side of the game as well. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I wish that side was a little bit better.
Yeah, and again, like, I know I keep saying this caveat, like, we're so early. Like,
yeah,
we're just getting
somebody
warmed
who's
up.
30 hours and is like, you fools, you have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because I think we both agree that the pacing has been weird. It's been very cutscene heavy.
Yep.
You're not playing the game very much, and outside of the combat encounters. So,
I have seen people say about 75% of the game is cutscenes. So I don't know if that's like somebody hyperbolically making a statement, or if that's true, but yeah, it's thus far it is.
Right.
But when
Sure.
those, but when like I said, when those cinematics are jaw dropping, it's like, all right, it's fine. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And finally, let's just quickly touch on the Icon battles, which is kind of a little bit of a mix-up in which you actually take control of Ifrit and you fight against, you know, other icons. They're kind of a little bit of an extension of the normal combat. You got kind of the same move set. You know, you got your square physical attack, your triangle long range attack, and then you have like a charge ability. How do you feel about that, John? How have you felt playing the one that you've done?
Yep, I've only done the one. It was fine. I've never been a big fan of like, the big colossal fights that you're just effectively doing light attack and heavy attack, and that's kind of what this is. Mm-hmm. But it's probably the best version of that I've ever experienced. I mean, it's, just because you have the graphical fidelity of this game. But because I believe it was just square, triangle, and then a dodge type attack. And so when I fought Garuda, I kind of got my ass kicked a little bit. And I don't know if it was just intentional with like how the combat scenario was going to go, but like she got me down to, a sliver of health. And that's when Ifrit's like final attack kicked in and I killed her. So like, I don't know if that was how it was supposed to go, but I don't know. It felt a little clunky, but I was happy it was there. It was a little good change of pace.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll say, like, yeah, it opens up. Mm-hmm. Like the second one is gonna be is bigger and better, and has there's more elements to it. Okay. So just stay tuned for that. So, but again, we'll probably be bringing this back for a bit here as we play it, and then lead into a giant spoiler cast. But do you have any closing thoughts about it before we move on?
Yeah, my family needs to let me play it more.
Yeah, I hear you.
No, I'm excited to continue playing it. Because of my attachment to 10, it just gives me a good feeling in my loins when I hear the Final Fantasy music, kind of that kind of stuff. So really happy to be playing it. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So. All right, let's move on to our next topic.
Sure. So, unbeknownst to me, I stumbled upon Nick watching this by himself. He decided he didn't want to share with me, I guess. But yesterday, we were treated to a 34-minute Annapurna showcase. And for those who don't know, Annapurna is, I kind of view them as a AAA independent developer, mostly they're publishers. But they kind of take a lot of the indie games You think of What Remains of Edith Finch, Outer Wilds, my beloved Neon White Stray, those kind of games, and they are usually the publisher for them. So they just kind of wanted to show, a couple games in their pipeline. So we'll go over those real quick. But I think the biggest announcement of the show was probably Blade Runner 2033. And this is the first in-house developed game for Annapurna. So they have only really exclusively been publishers since now, but they're developing this one in-house. It's kind of marketed more as a narrative adventure, but it will take place between the events of the original Blade Runner movie from 1982 and in between that and the most recent Blade Runner 2049. So if you're a fan of that franchise, I think it's definitely going to be probably a pretty cool experience, because Annapurna does narrative. They have an eye for that kind of thing, and that's what is Blade Runner's going to be. It's not going to be a combat-focused game. But does this interest you at all, Nick? Are you excited or into the Blade Runner franchise at all?
Well, it's funny. It is being led by Chelsea Hash, who did What Remains of Edith Finch.
Good.
So,
maybe we get to kill some kids
on the show.
You think we get to kill some kids?
I just played this year, so yeah, I'm very excited. I love the Blade Runner movies, and I think it's definitely a video game franchise that has not had its video game heyday.
Mm-hmm.
It's. As much as Cyberpunk 2077 is a lot like Blade Runner, it's not the same. And I really like the if they can just grapple with the tone of the movies, and the atmosphere that I love about those movies, then yeah, this could be a great game. I'm excited for it.
If Cyberpunk is the light, Blade Runner is the darkness. Like, it's just it has a little bit darker vibe to it. So should be cool. Looking forward to that. But next we got a release date for upcoming indie game Cocoon, which is coming out September 29th. Looks pretty cool. I think it's going to be pretty puzzle heavy, where you're kind of this bug creature that you are able to go in and out of these orbs, which present themselves as entire worlds once you get into them. So I don't know if it's going to be more combat focused or puzzle heavy, but I would look forward to that if you're kind of into games of that nature. We got an announcement that Stray is coming to Xbox on August 10th, so those people over on that side of the aisle can look forward to that then.
Game of the Year nominee?
Game of the Year nominee somehow. Now, we're not going to go through all of these, because some of these are kind of really, really small, like little updates to things. But we got to really...
As long as you cover one, there's one that you got to cover.
Is it to a T?
No,
okay.
but you brought it up. Describe that game.
Sure. So To a T is basically who was it done by? I was reading about it. They did a.
It's the creator of Katamari Damacy. I don't know his name either. Sorry.
Yep. So Katamari Damacy, if you know what that is, it's basically a game where you're a ball rolling up things to like kind of start taking over the world. So incredibly crazy. But you play a character who is permanently stuck in a T-pose, which is just a hilarious video game idea. For those who might not know, it's like the most common character glitch when a character gets stuck in a T-pose. It just looks absurd. I don't know what kind of game this is. It's got a really simplistic art style. I think they kind of view it as like a narrative, silly game. Think of maybe like Octodad and like those kind of experiences.
Yes.
But it could be one of those like cult classic kind of games.
It says it's going to be episodic too, which is interesting.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I wonder how this game will be released.
Yeah, it's interesting because, as I was saying at the top here, it's like Annapurna is responsible for a lot of really, really, really solid games that people love. Some people think Outer Wilds is like the greatest game of all time. And so when you go to Annapurna's website, it's like the bottom of their website is filled with Neon White, Artful Escape, 12 Minutes, The Pathless, Outer Wilds, like really good games. And then it's all these games. So it's like, I bet you a couple of these are going to be fucking awesome. We just don't know it yet.
For sure.
They gave a release date for game Thirsty Suitors, which is November 2nd, 2023. I don't know what to make of this game. It's I'll just read the description. As Thirsty Suitor stars Jala, or Hala, who throughout the game will have to confront her exes, deal with her demanding parents, get ready for her sister's wedding, and so much more in this game that is also a stylish celebration of South Asian culture. But I looked at a little bit of gameplay, and you're basically skateboarding around and doing tricks, but it seems like there's this kind of extra, I don't know, like Scott Pilgrim element to it with like...
Yeah, it's got like turn-based combat.
Yeah, so this could be one of those games that I was kind of mentioning that it might have something special about it. You just kind of can't tell from the trailers and stuff. And let's see what else we got. We got a trailer for Lush Foil Photography Sim, which...
That's the game.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, cool. This game, it's one of those sim games, obviously, but its graphics look realistic, based on real-world locations, where basically you're just taking pictures. If you're into really chill experiences, this could definitely be something for you. I am a mountain climber. I like to go to nature-type places, so, sometimes there is scenarios where it's like, I just want to chill, and I'm going to go take some pictures on top of Mount Everest. Sounds like a good experience to me. Are you interested in this one, Nick? Like, do you think you?
My girlfriend will be very interested in this. She loves photography,
Okay.
but and it looks very chill. And I'm usually, I hate to say it, I wish I could enjoy games like this more, but I need that fast-paced combat and that dopamine that I normally get from playing, Street Fighter or Final Fantasy right now. It's like, it's hard for me to look at this game and be like, oh, I'll just sit down and spend a couple hours doing this. It's like my nerves just won't relax to this.
I understand that. You need to smoke some marijuana, my friend.
yeah, that would help.
I definitely hear you. I will say, like, I looked it up a little bit. It does sound like I might check it out if it comes to Extra. I don't think I would buy this game, but if it comes to Extra, I could see myself playing it because it says there's secrets and hidden objectives that will actually help you become a better photographer, which, like, my friend Brian, who lives out in Colorado, best friend in the world, he's gotten really into photography in the past 5 years, and, like, he sends me some amazing pictures every once in a while of the mountains, and I just think, like, if there's, like, a platinum trophy to this game and I can just do, like, a 3-hour platinum where I just go take dope pictures of awesome spots on the world, it could be cool. I might do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good to point out the PlayStation Plus Extra thing because, again, Stray, which they also published, was, that led this whole PlayStation Plus Extra initiative. It was the big game that I wouldn't be shocked that at least a few of these games are day and date on PlayStation Plus Extra.
Now that you say it, yeah, I mean, I think What Remains of Edith Finch has come to Essentials. Donut County has come to Essentials. Outer Wilds has come to Essentials. The Pathless hasn't. 12 Minutes hasn't. Artful Escape has. So they have, yeah, you're right. They got a history. Good catch.
Yep.
And then only really 2 other games. There's a game called Flock, which looks a little too artsy for me. You're kind of going around this really... I don't know, artsy kind of open world setting where you're coming across weird creatures and they follow you around and I don't know. I don't really know what the point is. Anything to say about that one, Nick? Cool.
No. It looked different, but again, it's not for me.
And then lastly, a game called Storyteller is headed to Netflix. So I'm curious. I don't know if this is like the Netflix phone game thing, how I played Into the Breach, or if this is like actually coming to the browser itself, but it's a puzzle based game where you kind of have these little comic panels and you modify things, and not for me, but find it interesting that it's coming to Netflix. So that was the Annapurna showcase. So not bad for like a little didn't know what was happening kind of thing.
Yeah, I recommend everyone just check it out because it's 30 minutes. It was very concise. Their games are all over the gambit. We didn't even talk about all of them, but there's probably going to be at least a few games that they're going to pop up on your radar that aren't going to get the presence at a Sony showcase or a Xbox showcase because they're just too small. But no, their game they have an eye for different and interesting titles. So
amen.
All right. So, speaking of Microsoft, they are currently, well, it ended, but they were in court battling the FTC over their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And while I will not bore us with talking about every detail of that, because there was a lot, there has been a lot of quotes, because they interviewed Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan and the CEO of Microsoft. I forget his name now.
Yeah, who cares?
Satya Nadella. And a bunch of silly comments have come out from this. So, and it's just some interesting information. So, I picked about, I think, 6 things that I brought from it. And the first one is that the thing that triggered Microsoft to buy ZeniMax and Bethesda was when they heard that Sony was going to make a deal with them to make Starfield exclusive to PlayStation 5.
Yes.
Now, that is... Could you imagine if that did go through?
Oh, my God.
Like, this year would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think Microsoft saw that problem, and it was worth $7 billion to them. They're like, if we don't have this game, or if that's not coming to us, we know our pipeline's fucked. Like we're done. We're done.
Yeah, I mean, talk about this year. It has all been on Bethesda's shoulders between Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, and now Starfield.
And nothing last year. That would have been 2 years of nothing.
And there's a Forza game coming this year, so I won't discount them. Sure. But other than that,
yeah, that is nuts.
So yeah, and we saw a lot of that because Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop were Sony exclusives each for a year. So this would probably have been the same. Like Sony would have had exclusivity with Starfield for 1 year, but that still would have been bonkers. Xbox would be in big trouble.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could really. I don't think it's hard to really explain how bad of a scenario Microsoft was in 2019. I mean, that PS4 was destroying them, absolutely destroying them. It didn't nothing down on the horizon. They saw the moment and said, we either spend $7 billion now, or we maybe give up, I think, the Xbox brand. I think that's how dire the situation was for them in that moment.
Right. So, very interesting. And then the next thing is Elder Scrolls 16 is announced.
Oh, yeah.
So, a Microsoft lawyer speaking with the judge accidentally spoke. He was clarifying that there are 2 Elder Scrolls games. One is online, called Elder Scrolls Online. That is a multiplayer game. It is on PlayStation today. The game he's talking about, Elder Scrolls 16, the projected release is 2026 as a single-player game.
Idiots.
So, obviously he was referring to Elder Scrolls 6, not 16. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was thinking about Final Fantasy 16. Maybe he wanted to go home and play it.
Yeah, that's it.
But not only is that absurd, but the absurdity that an Elder Scrolls 6 is coming in 2026 is not even close.
Chance, dude.
Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it took what? It took 8 years to develop Starfield, right? And I got to imagine they had a small team working on things for Elder Scrolls 6, but there's no way they've had more than pre-production type things going for that. They had them, because of how important Starfield was. I imagine they might have initially thought 2026 was going to be the case, and maybe the lawyer was looking at a document from 5 years ago. But no, that's getting pushed. That's not coming up.
Yeah, but just a silly thing. And then another interesting stat is that if they made Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, Game Pass would have to grow by 2 million per year to justify that purchase, that exclusivity. That's how much how much money that franchise makes on PlayStation, is that they would have to get 2 million subscribers every year additional to justify the loss in revenue from taking away from PlayStation.
Yeah, didn't they say like last year, like there's $800 million that Sony grossed in just like pure revenue from Call of Duty or something like that?
Yeah, and they also mentioned about Minecraft is that the player base on Xbox is one half of the users on PlayStation. So twice as many people are playing on PlayStation Minecraft, and 4 times as many players are playing on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, wow.
So that is why they can't pull the Minecraft from those platforms. All right, and then the fourth thing is that the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, blames Sony for console exclusivity. He says, in quote, "If it was up to me, I would love to get rid of the entire exclusives on consoles, but that's not for me to define, especially as a low-share player in the console market. The dominant player there, Sony, has defined market competition using exclusives, so that's the world we live in, and I have no love for that world."
Hey, I'm the CEO of Tesla. I would love to get rid of gasoline cars, but Ford's just really made it really hard for us to do that. It's like, what do you do? Like, it just makes no sense. Of course you would want them to get rid of it. You guys don't know how to do that, and that's what Sony's bread and butter, which hence won them the console wars. Of course.
Right, and it's not like exclusives existed before Sony ever existed as a competitor. Nintendo and Sega had their exclusives. That's the whole software drives your console first and foremost. All the bells and whistles you can put on a console, Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, those are great in theory, but if you don't have the games and you can't make the games, that's why you're losing.
Not according to Phil Spencer.
So
yeah.
Whoops, I don't quite buy that line. If you think so highly of it, be the first one to do it. Just do it. You'll get money, right? Because you'll get that money like Minecraft, like if you have Call of Duty on PlayStation, that money's still going to you. So put your money where your mouth is. If you think
That's a great point. It'd be interesting, man. I mean, Starfield would sell like hotcakes on PlayStation. It's once again has approximately, we don't know because Microsoft never says the numbers, but it has probably 2-to-1 console sales. There's more of an install base. People love those big Bethesda games. Yeah, do it, dude. Let's see it. Who knows?
Exactly.
Maybe Sony will put the Last of Us multiplayer game on Xbox. Maybe that's the bridge that we need to one step towards world peace. It all starts with video games.
All right. And then we got a quote from Phil Spencer next, that the console wars are a social construct. As the console wars is a social contract with the community, I would never want to count our community out. They're big fans. If you look at our share in the console space over the last 20 plus years, we're third place. We are behind Sony and Nintendo in console share globally. So,
yeah, it just sounds like a big pity party, dude. Like this whole thing going back all the way to January of last year. We've been talking about this for 18 months now. It's like this whole thing has just been like one big pity party for, we can't compete with Sony. They're so good. We need this, otherwise we're dying. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's true, but it doesn't mean that you can just pull out your pocketbook and disrupt the whole industry because you feel like, well, we're in third place, so we deserve it. It's like, I'm not fully against the acquisition. Whatever. If it happens, it happens. I'm not a big Activision guy, so it's not the biggest of deals to me. But it just, I don't know. It just screams like an elitist type person bemoaning that they don't get to, buy the thing, the pretty shiny thing that they wanted. I don't know. The whole thing has just gotten so tiresome. So tiresome. And
I just like the idea that, sure, console wars is a fan term, but it is a competition. Yeah. Like they're your competitor. Like they produce the exact same thing you're producing. They deploy the exact same first party strategy and everything else. So the comparison's always going to be there.
Nope. Twitter caused the console war. It's Twitter's fault.
Yeah, it's only existed since Twitter. But it'll always be there, and it's great. The console war is a great thing. Like it makes them both better. So I don't.
Well, that's kind of one of the weirdest takes I've seen online. I'd be lying if I say I don't peruse both the Xbox and PlayStation subreddits, and there's a lot of people on the Xbox side that are kind of like, no, I agree, exclusives are dumb, they shouldn't exist, and I just, if it should just be about which machine is better. And I feel like people that say those kind of things just really don't know how to look at the whole picture. It's like, do you realize if Sony and Microsoft no longer had console exclusives and it's simply about the power of the machine, then one of those is going to win. Like, it's one of those is going to be more powerful. It's going to take the entire market share, thus removing any competition from the other party. And guess what? Competition's good for one another. Yes, Sony's been dominating the last 10 years, but before that, Xbox was dominating, and it caused Sony to figure out what they needed to do to separate their business. And guess what they figured out? They go, we're going all in on the single player experience. It's not what the trends are. It's not that multiplayer, this was the time where multiplayer games were owning. And they decided, we got to change course. They did, and it reaped them benefits. And I just wish Microsoft's upper management, CEO level type people would kind of take that aspect of it a little more seriously. Like, look, we have 20 plus studios. We might not get it next year. We might not get it the year after that. But if we start building something like they did, maybe we can get there instead of just trying to break out the pocketbook. Because I don't know if you have any more quotes, Nick, but like they're talking about we want to buy Sega, we want to buy Zynga, we want to buy Bungie, we want to buy Square Enix, and we want to outcost, or we want to buy Sony out of the industry. And it's just like, I don't know, man. That just reeks of nefarious type shit to me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think those were like in theory, but yeah, the emails with Matt Booty from 2019 where he was referring to that is that they were gonna, that they want to outspend Sony and buy them out of the industry. Yeah. So
no, can't do that.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. Games drive consoles, and that's just how it is. So no one's gonna give that up.
Happy to be playing Final Fantasy 16 right now.
Unless they have a complete unless they're like the Apple Store, or Google Store, or Steam. They have such a share they take over the market so hard that there's no competition. Yep. But nope. The last thing is a news item. It came from Pete Hines, where unfortunately he revealed the Indiana Jones game from Machine Games. This is not really surprising. It is exclusive to Xbox. So that Indiana Jones game will not be coming to PlayStation, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Apparently it's both first and third person, so I'm curious to see what kind of game that is, but I don't know. If it gets rave reviews, maybe I do own an Xbox, maybe we'll still be able to hear about it on the show. We'll see. If I ever turn my Xbox on
again. Yeah. But that's all I got. So there's, shout out to Tom Warren of The Verge. If you really want to get into all these quotes and more stuff, if you really want to see everything that's said, they have a bunch of great write-ups on The Verge about this, and that's where I pulled these from. So check it out if you want to see all the more ridiculous stuff that's said. Sure. So
I will say one thing I do want to say is I find it funny that both, I think, Jim Ryan, or like the PlayStation side and the Microsoft side, were caught a little bit during all this. Specifically, when Microsoft said that the only people that are against this deal are the FTC and the CMA. And so, lo and behold, saying that, then the Canadians spoke up and they're like, no, we don't want this deal either. And then Australia and New Zealand are like, no, we don't either. So I find it kind of funny that, they keep kind of saying things that maybe might shoot themselves in the foot. And then on the Jim Ryan side, crap, what did he say? I'm not prepared. Hold on. I'm pretty sure we want to do that.
Were you... I know I don't want to derail. Were you interested in hearing the budgets for The Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Forbidden West? Did that shock you at all that they're both 200 plus million games to develop?
No, not at all. Video games make more money than movies do nowadays. So if it makes sense that it's proportionally the same or a little bit more than big budget movies. Yeah,
and they take longer to make and more people typically. Yep.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, I remember my Jim Ryan thing. And then Jim Ryan, he apparently was saying that, I've spoken with every publisher, and every publisher hates Game Pass. And then I think Microsoft came out and they're like, well, no, actually, there's a lot of publishers and developers that they've put multiple games on our platform. So, and I do believe there is a space for a specific kind of developer to put their games on Game Pass. So, it's just kind of funny watching these guys try to throw blows at one another and then get rebuked on the other end. But
Well, there's always going to be external cases, so it's not like, yeah. Can you find a developer that likes Game Pass? Sure. Can you find a developer that doesn't like
Absolutely.
Game Pass? Sure.
Yep. I think the smaller teams might like it. Bigger teams probably not so much. But yeah, hopefully we'll know in 2 weeks. Apparently there should be a decision in 2 weeks, and we can put this thing to bed.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
Might be next week.
All right, Nick, are you ready for a game?
No, I don't like your games. We've established this on the show.
I know, but with how slow we are with news, sometimes you need one of John's dumb games, and
Okay.
So as you refer to this game, it's called John's Dumb Game. What we're gonna do here, Nick, we're gonna go through 10 questions. Not so much really questions. These are 10 different trophy titles that I have found throughout games, and I got 4 multiple choices for you to to see if you can guess which game the trophy is from. All right.
Okay, I got Google up.
Oh,
shoot me.
You son of a bitch. No, I know you're not a cheater. You're a good guy. All right. So I tried to do my best. These aren't too hard, I don't think, but we'll see. All right. First one is called Stage Fright. Is it from A, Puppeteer, B, Uncharted 4, C, Persona 4, or D, Game of Thrones, a Telltale series? And I do have the description of the trophy if you need a hint.
Well, you would think Puppeteer is the answer because of you are usually a puppeteer on a stage.
Stage, yes, stage is the game.
But a stage can be anything. And I don't think it's Uncharted 4. Let's go with Puppeteer.
Puppeteer. No, it is B, Uncharted 4. So just prior to the city chase, you have to stand perfectly still for 30 seconds. Stage demo fail in parentheses. I don't know if you remember when this game was showed off for the very first time. The controller wasn't working or something went wrong. And so Drake was just standing there for 30 seconds. So they decided to put a little nod to that and put a trophy into that.
Oh, that's cute.
It is cute. All right, number 2. It's called You Know Nothing. You Know Nothing. Is that A, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, B, Dragon Quest XI, C, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, or D, It Takes Two?
Oh, boy.
I'll give you the trophy. It's kill Koch before his speech ends.
Oh, it's Call of Duty, right?
It is Call of Duty. Do you know why it's called You Know Nothing?
No.
Because that's...
I'm sure it's a Game of Thrones reference.
Koch is played by Kit Harington.
Oh,
Kit Harington of Jon Snow fame. All right, I think you can get this one. Put the Posse on a Pedestal, which is that's a great trophy title. Is that from A, Duke Nukem Forever, B, Red Dead Redemption, C, Saints Row, or D, Borderlands 3? And remember, you can get the hint if you need it.
Ooh. So it is vulgar, but so Duke Nukem would do this, but Duke Nukem's not that clever.
Sure, he is a
you don't have a posse. Oh boy, I'm gonna go with Red Dead.
It is Red Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
Attain over 50,000 posse points in a single free roam session.
Oh boy, wow.
All right, number 4, Daywalker. Is that A, World War Z, B, South Park: The Stick of Truth, C, Back for Blood, or D, Batman: Arkham Knight? Daywalker.
I'm gonna go with South Park on this one.
Can you guess what that's referencing?
Isn't that referring to gingers?
Yeah. If you defeat the boss hall monitor while wearing freckles, you'll get the Daywalker trophy. All right, number 5. ... I did it for the trophy. Is that A, Nier Automata, B, Mass Effect, C, Yakuza 0, or D, Grand Theft Auto 5? ... I did it for the trophy.
That's a good one too, because I'm sure it was something ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
And time consuming.
I'm going to give you. It's watch a sexy movie.
Oh, it's Yakuza, right?
Yep, it's Yakuza. Yeah, there's I think 20 different sexy movies that you can watch at any point in the game.
Ooh, what kind of sexy
I don't
movies?
know. Play Yakuza 0. It's great.
I guess I gotta find out.
All right, number 6. I love this trophy title. What are you doing What are you doing? Is that A, Surgeon Simulator, B, Persona 4, C, Fallout 4, or D, Nier Automata?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's just one. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm gonna say this is Nier.
Yeah, this is the infamous. This is the infamous Nier trophy.
Yeah.
Where you have to. It says 2B's secret is discovered 10 times, which it's looking up her skirt, folks. It's looking up her skirt. That's the secret.
Oh, those Japanese developers.
And yes, I do have the Nier Automata Platinum. So yes, I do have the Platinum for Nier Automata. So I did get that. I did have to get that trophy. All right, number 7, Turd Burglar. Is that South Park: The Fractured But Whole, Psychonauts 2, Spyro the Dragon 3, or Duke Nukem Forever?
I gotta say that's Duke Nukem Forever.
Yep, find and steal a piece of poo.
Great trophy. Clever, very clever.
Yep. Well, Duke Nukem is forever, so hopefully it's not the last time we have to bring him up on the podcast. All right, number 8, Murderer.
Okay.
Is that Destroy All Humans 2, Goat Simulator 3, The Witcher 3, or Red Dead Redemption? Ooh. Kill 20 cows is the trophy. That's no hint, so I'll just give it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's Red Dead Redemption because there was a trophy for killing all the buffalo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you kill them all and they don't come back.
Oh, poor buffalo.
Yeah. What were the other 3 choices?
Destroy
Witcher
All
3.
Humans 2, Witcher 3, and Goat Simulator 3.
I'm going to go with Destroy All Humans.
This is your beloved Witcher.
Oh, really?
Yep. Gotta kill 20 cows and you will get that.
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
It's so dumb.
All right, so number 9. I love what you have to do to get this trophy for number 9. So it's titled Super Go Outside.
Okay.
Is that A, The Stanley Parable, B, Fallout 3, C, Steep, or D, Super Meat Boy?
I have a feeling this is Stanley Parable.
Yeah, your instincts are correct. do you know what you have to do?
No,
Do not play the game for 10 years.
Oh, yes. Okay, I did hear about that one. I just didn't know what the title was. So.
Yeah, it's hilarious. All right, and then finally, number 10. I wasn't saying I'd like her more if she wanted to get with Abe Lincoln. That'd be super gross, because he's dead and very tall. Is that A, Assassin's Creed 3, B, Fallout 3, C, Brutal Legend, or D, Drawn to Death?
I don't think it's Fallout 3. Because why would you reference Abe Lincoln? Or Assassin's Creed 3. You said Assassin's Creed 3, Fallout 3?
Yep, Assassin's Creed 3, Fallout 3, Brutal Legend, Drawn to Death.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Brutal Legend on that one. That seems like what's his name? Tim
Schafer?
Yeah, Tim Schafer.
I tricked you. That was my exact intention. No, it's D, Drawn to Death. That is out of the mind of David Jaffe.
Okay, sure.
Yep. So that entire trophy list is like one long stupid story. So I just pulled out the Abe Lincoln one. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, because you just have to place in the top 300 times.
Okay.
All right, that's my game. Nick, you did pretty well.
Yeah,
you
I
did
think
pretty
so.
well. Some of your instincts served you well.
Yeah, I play video games.
You sure do.
All right, let's move on.
All right, so bring in some gameplay footage here that I simply have to talk about, Nick. One of the biggest games from the summer festivities that was kind of weirdly missing was Armored Core 6. We know the release date, we know it's coming in August, but being that E3 season was over, didn't see any gameplay of it, didn't know when that was going to come, and I guess From Software kind of decided to just do the weirdest thing imaginable and just drop a random day, a 4.5 minute weird segmented gameplay trailer of the game. But I do have a lot of thoughts on it, and obviously I'm super excited being a From Software mega fan. So right off the bat, Nick, what are your high level thoughts of what you saw of the game? Like, is it something? Did it make you more excited for the game, or same, or less?
Well, this is the Game Informer cover, so I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Sure.
The next Game Informer is all about Armored Core?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's weird. I have played Armored Core. I don't remember a lot about it. but watching this, I'm starting to remember a lot. Because I knew you could customize your mech. I remember you could have different legs and weapons, and you kind of had to balance like weight and heat and stuff like that. And first and foremost, this game looks really nice. It's very flashy. The frame rate looks great. The movement looks great. They are definitely filling some kind of void in mech combat, because mech combat is pretty dope. That being said, the footage is weirdly cut. It's not like a straight, like, watch a guy play through a level. It's like watch a guy do a couple things, fade to black, come see another clip, and over again. And so I'm curious as to how the game will play. Like, what is my moment from starting a mission to playing through an entire mission? But from what I saw there, it looks great. I'm like, I know, John, you're not big into customization, but when they started going into the different legs and armor, and then he was applying different colors and paints to it, I'm like, woo! So
yeah,
there's
something extra about like designing a mech as opposed to like a person that just, I won't see their face most of the time anyway.
And I'm always curious when games are shown like this, like very sparingly. Are they either covering up that the game isn't very good, or is the game very good? I think coming from this, I'm excited, but I'm still on. I need to see reviews for it. I'm not going to plop down money for this out of the gate. But what were your thoughts on the footage?
Yeah, well, no, from your last point there, yeah, it is strange. We're less than 2 months out, and so to not have like just a nice meaty gameplay straight of it, yeah, it is rather weird. But I'm pretty amped for this. I mean, From Software is probably the studio that I have the absolute most amount of faith in. I don't believe that From Software studios are the same From Software studios they were 11 years ago when Armored Core 5 came out. So I would expect this to be the greatest Armored Core by far. Like, that's just where my expectations are at this point with this team. But what I saw from the gameplay side of it, I think it is doing a lot of interesting things. They really did a good job showing off the freedom of this world that you're in. It almost feels like an evolution of an open world formula for me. Like, I don't know, is this mission based? Is it open world? We don't really know what it is, but what I can tell is there's a ton of verticality to it.
Yes.
And there's a lot of open spaces to it, which kind of tells me that you're going to have this very, very, very incredible amount of freedom. Again, being that it's from Soft and what they just did with Elden Ring, I would imagine they're going to take a lot of those lessons forward, and at least from an open world standpoint. Like, it would be a little weird to me if they went back and just did like a mission structure type game. It's possible. I've never played an Armored Core game, so maybe that's how the old ones were. I'm not sure. But if they are able to pull off some sort of open world that's interconnected and fleshed out, where you're adding these verticality to it, because the mechs you're just flying around, zipping here and there. The combat looks real fun. I think it could be like an evolution of an open world formula, hopefully, if it is a game like that. It definitely screams a lot of Souls combat to me, but a lot more ranged. You're locking onto enemies. It seems like you're using a dash to kind of go back and forth. The bosses seem the exact type of big, menacing type of things you would experience in a typical Souls fight. But I think it's going to be great. I do. I can't see at this point From Software missing. I think they've simply learned too much about game design, enemy design, world design. I'm sure there's going to be some weird ass story hidden in the descriptions of things that not a reason that I get into Souls games, but a lot of people like that side of it. It's a weird way to present the game for the first time. Don't quite know why they did that. They might just be feeling simply invincible. They might just be like, look, we're From Software. We know who we are, and we know that you guys are going to want to play this game because A, we think it's dope. They probably know it's dope, so they're just going to show it off. And I think it is, like you said, I don't think they're hiding a bad game. I think they just have a lot of confidence in it. I'm not going to pre-order it, but I will. If I expect it to be above an 85, and if it is, I'll probably get it within the first week of it coming out, most likely.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you there. If it's good, because again, it's filling kind of a void, and they can really nail that combat and that customization, and you just are seeing a bunch of crazy builds online. It's definitely all eyes on this game for sure. Like, I think, but I'm just curious. I want to know what the final product is.
Yeah, just like you mentioned, the customization, dude. Like, there was parts of the trailer where you're dashing towards an enemy and using a big melee sword, or you're pulling out a shield attachment to be able to kind of block a lot of bullets and get a little bit in close. And when they showed the customization of the mechs, it's like, that's stuff that I think you're gonna attach. And so, they're gonna have to do a really great job with the enemy design, the level design, to make sure that all of these fights are fun from any of the specific angles that you want to attack it. But again, because of this team and what they're, Elden Ring would have that same exact challenge. You can play that game as a double melee guy. You can play it completely ranged. You can do all these different things, and it works. And I think, this is a different team. I do believe, like, it's a different director. It's not Miyazaki. I know that. So you have a different guy at the helm, but I imagine there's a lot of ideas that are shared throughout the studio. From Software only has like 330 people, so it's not the biggest team in the world. And August 25th, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. I think it'll be a sleeper hit.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it, and so we'll know very shortly. So
yeah, it's really the next kind of big release, I think. Like, truly big one.
Exoprimal. Don't forget about Exoprimal.
So yeah, you got Exoprimal, Oxenfree 2, and I think there's something else coming out the end of July that is just totally not for me, so I'm not interested. But this one, 2 thumbs up.
All right. So we got there. We're at the final topic, and it's going to be a brief one. It's the PlayStation Plus Essentials games for July. Again, the first Tuesday of every month. If you're subscribed to at least the PlayStation Plus Essential tier, you get access to 3 free games. So here's what they are. The first one is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War from Treyarch and Raven Software. This is currently sitting at a 75 on OpenCritic. Next up is Alan Wake Remastered from Remedy Entertainment, trying to get you hyped up for Alan Wake 2 coming in October. This is currently sitting at an 80 on OpenCritic. And then finally, we have an indie game, Endling Extinction is Forever from Hero Beat Studios and Handy Games. This is currently sitting at a 79 on OpenCritic. John, what are your thoughts on these 3 games? Are you going to play any?
Yeah, I can't wait to kill every animal in Endling and just end extinction for all life on Earth. I can't wait.
That game looks like a bummer.
Yeah. You're
the title's a bummer.
And the title's a bummer. The cover, there's a mother fox with 3 cubs behind. It's not going to end well.
I can't do it.
Yep. So, no, I'm not going to play any of these. I mean, Nick and I are actually currently watching, or pause for the time being, but just a full playthrough of Alan Wake, just to get the story. That's all I really want. I've heard this is an especially dated combat system that I have no interest in suffering through just to get the story. So I'd much rather us continue just the watch through of that. But that's the only one that I'm interested in any way. I'm not going to go back and play Call of Duty. I'm too mature for Call of Duty now. So
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I'll be touching any of those, especially currently, as we're in the midst of a Final Fantasy game. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll add them and then go from there. But yeah,
always add them. If anybody listening, always add them. It doesn't hurt to do that.
Yeah.
But maybe they add some DLC to Endling and you get to save all the animals again, and it turns it into a must play experience.
You're right.
So add it.
So yeah, July 4th they'll be available to add and download. So all right, that was 6 things. John, do you have anything to tease for next week?
Yeah, I can't wait to kick your ass in Street Fighter on Monday, so we can talk about that.
Hey man, and I just made it to silver in rank, so I'm climbing.
You're talking to the kid. All right, I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna take on the sensei. You're not gonna know what's hit you.
Okay.
You're not gonna know what hit you.
All right.
But
yeah.
No. So look forward to Nick talking about how he destroyed me in Street Fighter. But no, Final Fantasy is trying to take up all my time. I did get Cult of the Lamb because I have no inhibitions, as we've established. And but from the little I've played of it, pretty fun, digging it. I'm sure I'll bring that once I beat it and get some more thoughts on it. But I just Final Fantasy, baby.
Yeah, that's my focus too. It will be Street Fighter and Final Fantasy will be my thing, so I won't be touching anything else. And it is a holiday in the States and Canada next week, so news will be especially slow. So we'll have to bring some fun topics. I think I want to talk about SIDS.
What's up? Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. What's up with Canada stealing our holiday? I don't remember as a kid like Canada having a holiday the same time we did too. Has this always been a thing?
Yeah, it's always been a thing. I think your insensitivity is showing.
Those Canadians, stop stealing all our. Canada's a way better place than the United States is. Trust me.
Good save.
Yep.
So we'll probably have some topics. And then continue talking about Final Fantasy. Just some smaller highlights as the game expands and more systems. Like I said, I just got to the bounty board and other things like that. So there will be no story spoilers, but we'll probably be too excited to not talk about it. So, all right. So that's it. We're moving on to the song, and of course, this week was the Game Awards concert. I wish we could have gone, John. It sounded awesome.
Yeah.
Jack Black played there. Santoala played Last of Us. They did Elden Ring. They did so many things. It sounds like it was a great experience all around. But what they did have is they released the title track for Spider-Man 2. And as we've talked about in this show, we're a little bit hyped for that game. So
who isn't?
So even though it's 112 days away, we're gonna get a little bit hyped here as you listen to the title track "Greater Together" by John Paisano. Yeah, it's a great track. It kind of looks like it kind of mixes the various themes. It's got the Peter Parker theme, the Miles theme, and then I'm assuming
maybe.
And then what the ending theme sounds like Venom's theme. So, so a good mix of all three, and it's great. It's a good listen. So enjoy the song.
This is the first confirmation that you will be able to play as Venom.
Yeah, exactly. That part of my prediction is true, just not the co-op part, unfortunately. So.
Yep, idiot.
Don't be so mean.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. We will be back next week with 6 more things. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
See you guys.